Do you ever notice yourself slipping into eating patterns that actually don't feel supportive or that are not really the direction that you want to be going, especially during stressful or even wobbly times? Sadly, I see this quite often with my clients. So I see women doing really well. They've eaten more consistently, shed some weight, they've recalibrated their hormones, their metabolic function, they're starting to feel better, and many are seeing progress. And then what happens is life. Life comes in, shakes up our foundation, throws in a little bit of a monkey wrench, and things get a little bit wobbly. So whether it's from work, from family, from your own health issues, from travel, for even hormone shifts, or just general fatigue of handling and doing far too much or more than our body has capacity for. And then suddenly these old patterns just creep back in. And then cue what happens next is usually it goes something like this. It comes from shame and or frustration or disappointment in themselves, regret. And the mind can go straight into like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I do this? Why is this so hard? I can't lose weight. I've always struggled with my weight. So all of these old negative kind of patterns and thoughts can come to the surface during this time. Um, so it often the shame gets wrapped in frustration and even fear that reverting back to the old patterns or that things will never be able to change. And we can ask these questions of ourselves like, oh, I messed everything up. I screwed it up again. Or I want to, really take control of this and I want to slow this down because nothing truly has gone wrong here. And I do want to explain that this can look and possibly even feel like emotional eating. And it's often a body that is under-resourced. So a bit of a different way of looking at things, and I'm going to invite you to consider this for yourself too. If you are in midlife, and if you found this video, I suspect that's where you are at this stage of life. In midlife, our hunger signals don't always come through cleanly as hormones shift, particularly our hunger hormones and stress. All of those chaotic kind of signals can mess things up. So that can get coupled along with life, with poor sleep, poor quality sleep because of hormone imbalances. Hormone shifts themselves can mess up our communication signals. Stress, of course, any kind of stress. Our body can't determine whether it does determine it, but the same response happens whether our stress is physical, emotional, mental, psychological, whether it's imagined, perceived, or real, or even beautiful things doing that we love, and our body is stressed. These are all things that can be affecting the problem that we're actually servicing and why these old patterns and habits bubble back up to the surface. The other thing we have to consider as our blood sugar dips, that is going to be a prompt and a signal for hunger as well. So that's a biological response. So that can all feel like hunger. And the question that I perhaps would have asked in the past is this physical hunger or is this emotional hunger? And sometimes that can kind of create a little bit of confusion more than clarity. What I want to help you identify is see this pattern in your body where what may be going on is that your body is actually asking for steadiness, for stable ground. And the mind can be interpreting this as failure because these old patterns are creeping back up to the surface. So when our meals get skipped, or if protein drops, or if your stress level went up, or your sleep quality went down, your body is actually looking for relief. So food can often become the quickest kind of signal for safety for it. So I just want to offer that that's not weakness, that is actually biology. So we've been taught that if we eat when we're stressed, it means we're out of control. It must be emotional eating because I just revert to that. But for many women, in midlife particularly, it actually means that the system is overloaded and is looking for some support. So willpower is not going to be the thing that is going to fix an overloaded system. What can help is perhaps offering ourselves a different lens in which to look through this. So the question we can ask ourselves instead of, anything that may be negative and beating ourselves up and why am I doing this? Why can't I get it right? And why am I always failing? It can come through more of a lens of love. And if you're asking like the inner toddler in you, the little girl in you, asking what would feel most supportive to my body right now. And sometimes, yeah, that will be food. And sometimes it'll be rest. And sometimes it's a real, full, beautiful, full-on meal instead of grabbing something quick. So, what we can offer ourselves in order to give our bodies stability and safety rather than, punishing rules or food um, structures or guidelines, we can consider the foundation of having regular meals so that hunger doesn't turn into something that's dramatic or urgent. Of course, having the adequate amount of all the macronutrients at every meal, particularly with protein and fat, coupled with the carbohydrates, and that's going to help stabilize mood. It's going to help stabilize your appetite. We can also do little mini nervous system resets, even if it's just a brief 2-minute kind of countdown with anything that gets our attention turned internally to do some introspection. Could be breath work. It could be just merely hands touching yourself, orientating your body into the present moment, and just allowing and signaling our body that it's actually safe. So this isn't about being perfect. It isn't definitely about shaming ourselves or thinking that we don't have willpower. Basically, it comes down to consistency and small little signals to our body and checking in with what it truly needs. So, if eating feels confusing at this stage, I just want to say that this is not something that you're failing at and you are not a failure. That is just information when we're hearing the signals that our body gives us. These are signals. Symptoms are signals, and hunger is nothing more than a signal to get our attention. So when you can support your body differently and holistically and naturally, the behavior will definitely follow that along. So what I'm trying to say here is that we don't need more discipline. Basically, you just need some more support. So if this resonated with you, please let me know in the comments or share what you've noticed in your own patterns. And these conversations really, truly do matter more than we think. And supporting each other and hearing what we're all going through and that this is a common human issue, particularly in midlife women, I think it's very supportive for all of this. So I hope you've got something from this short little segment. If you have, please drop a comment below or maybe share it with someone that may need to hear the same message as well. Okay, take care. Bye for now.